Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Messiah Hour here on IsraelSportsAndNewsRadio.com. Thank you for joining us. We have a great show today. At any time, you can send us an email to MessiahHour@gmail.com or send a financial contribution to PayPal through IsraelSportsRadio@yahoo.com. Obviously, a lot of turmoil in the past few days regarding the Gay Pride Parade. I want to discuss all that is one of our favorite reporters, Mrs. Drora Klement. Drora, welcome back to the Messiah Hour here on Israel Sports and News Radio. Hope you're doing well out there.
I'm doing great, Ari. How are you?
I'm doing okay, I guess, considering the situation. Obviously, we're certainly not happy of what happened, and there seems to be a lot of news media that are reporting this stabbing in the Gay Pride Parade as some type of Haredi plot, a Haredi development, saying all the Haredim look this way. Why do you think the mainstream media has turned this into a Haredi bashing and an anti-Haredi sentiment out there?
It's really very sad that they're doing this because this particular person is a very unusual type of a Haredi. I mean, a lot of people are not aware of the fact that he's connected to Neturei Karta, which is a very extreme, sect. Even within the, if you say that the Haredim are extreme compared, let's say, to the Tzvi Leumi or like the more traditional religious people in Israel, but if you look at Neturei Karta, they don't believe in the state of Israel. They don't believe in the government of Israel. Extreme here is a key word. I mean, we're talking about like as extreme as it can be, and to take them and to say that everybody in the religious community is part of it. See, there is a need to separate between two issues here. One is the issue of the gay parade and the whole idea of being gay and having a gay parade in Jerusalem, okay? And then the issue of this extreme act of murdering a person, and it isn't, and put aside the issue of gay, but murdering a person just because of his beliefs and that.
Now, another issue that needs to come up is the fact that this person who stabbed these people at the Gay Pride Parade, he did this 10 years ago. He went to prison for 10 years, and he's released a few days before the parade. How come the police did not do a better job? They really should have, of keep an eye on this guy. And also talk about the system that allows this guy to go free just a few days before the parade, when that was the crime he went to prison for in the first place.
Well, on both counts, you're correct. I mean, first of all, the whole procedure that brought up to his release is a little strange because, first of all, normally if you release a person either from jail or from an insane asylum, as this person should have been in, there is a procedure. You see if the person is rehabilitated, if he's in any different way um, not willing to integrate into the population in a positive manner. And this particular person was like a no on all counts. I mean, he kept on saying that he's going to murder again. He kept on going and raving about how it's illegal for the government to exist and all kinds of issues that were, he was saying it loud and clear for everybody. He was writing it in his Facebook. He was doing every single way that would announce to the world that I am going to kill again. So that kind of a person should not have been released. If it was the psychologist, if it was the people that were assessing him, everybody should have known that he is a danger to public, not just to gays, but danger to the public in general. So that's really important to note. Now, the second issue here is how this person makes it close enough to a gay parade without like some sort of knowledge of like having him away from something that he already offended before. So that's really important.
Now, if this was a failure by the police department to not keep an eye on this guy, and if it was a failure by any type of prison officials to not let them, should have not let them out early, should there be any type of punishment? Do you see people being fired or any type of fine punishment that could go to the authorities?
I don't know if punishment is the right way. I'm always for changing procedures because there's obviously a disconnect, okay? There's a disconnect here because this person um, was not a changed person since he has done his time. There was no reason to release him. Something went wrong here, and it is really important instead of like trying to find who's to blame, but to find the system because it's obviously something systematic was here. They released him because he did, let's say, 10 years in prison, and that was it. But the question is not the 10 years or the being in prison or not, is whether this person is a danger to his to the society, to the population. And he was, and he is. And the fact that he was out was wrong. So that should be the key point, not to punish this person or other, because there are people they go to prison and come out, different person, and yay, you don't need to do anything further. But this particular person was not. So there had to be some sort of a procedure to detect it and stop him from coming out.
Again, this is the Messiah Hour here on IsraelSportsAndNewsRadio.com. Thank you for joining us. As I mentioned, you can send an email to MessiahHour@gmail.com, or you can send a financial payment to my PayPal account, which is IsraelSportsRadio@yahoo.com. Again, IsraelSportsRadio@yahoo.com. Drora, let's talk about the sentiment felt from the Haredi community. Many people like Molten Wolf are trying to indicate that there's an environment of the Haredi community that is pro what happened, that is pro the attack. They're happy about it, that certain people write comments. I wonder if you think in general the Haredi community is happy about this terrible tragedy, or if this is an isolated person who went crazy and this is the only type of thing that's happened in the last 10 years was from one person.
Okay, so you have to differentiate. There were another person who actually was, I believe, arrested for saying that, yay, he didn't succeed last time. We really wanted to see this time that he will succeed. And somebody said that, actually, something like that, which is very extreme. But as I said before, this is the exception, not the rule. The majority of people in Israel, I would say in the Orthodox community, had clearly separated between two things. As a religious person, if you believe in Torah, okay, you differentiate between an act that is not okay with you, okay, if it is to be gay, and it says really clearly in the Torah that it's not an act that is approved by God, okay? So we can't like deny that part, okay? But between that and taking the whole community and people that are doing it and saying that, we should do something for them actively and hurt them. I mean, one of the most important things in Judaism is you break Shabbat if somebody is hurt, okay? So the whole concept of taking a rock and throwing at somebody because he breaks Shabbat, or um, hurting somebody because of his belief or his doing something that is perceived or real by the Torah, that is, breaking the mores of Torah, then, that's really wrong. And everybody who's in his right mind and follows the real dictums of Torah understand it is wrong. So you have to separate between the two things. And that's what bothers me in the reaction of a lot of people, is because it's one thing to look at the whole idea of having, um, religious observances and how you react and act upon it. And in this particular guy's mind, there was no difference. He was mixing, you know, how you believe and how you react to things that you see. It's not our job to judge people.
All right, now, Drora, I understand there was a situation where a prominent rabbi talked about the fact that the police, for some reason, interrogated his wife and threatened his wife. I want to know if you've heard anything about that, if that's true or not true, because my understanding is the wife had nothing to do with the gay pride parade stabbing. So you can tell us a bit more about that situation.
This is a story that's a little peculiar because when they came to look for this particular rabbi, and I understand this, I mean, this particular couple, they're not like again, they could be part of this community of extremists and all that. But the point was different. I mean, if the person you're looking for is not there, you have his wife there. Why would you arrest her? What was her offense? What was the issue with her? It wasn't really clear. In all the articles I read, there wasn't anything that she did that was wrong besides saying, hey, you're here. The person you want to have is not here. Please leave. So, I mean, that's was her reaction, but it seems like it was a little bit more than should have been there. So that's something that I felt was kind of odd about the police reaction to it. But we can't really know because we were not there and we were not involved. We just have to rely on what is in the media.
All right, and we're also hearing different reports that there were people in the police department saying things that they were going to fight the Haradeim, do bad things to them. I want to know if you heard about that, if that's true at all, and should people take that seriously from the police department?
Look, I mean, it's been quite a while that I feel there's a word in you could say in Arabic, Hebrew, it's both slangish. It's called alehum. It's like everybody wants to jump on the wagon and say, okay, something happens, like the same thing that happened with the rabbi in Tzfat. Okay, one rabbi does something wrong, and all the rabbis, have no morals, or are all sex offenders, or in this particular case, one person here is acting in absolutely, totally wrong way, killing people, hurting them. This is wrong. Nobody has a doubt in the religious and the non-religious. Chiloni, religious, Arab, anybody who is in right mind will go against it. So why is it that they take the whole sector and say, oh, you know, the whole sector should be blamed for this particular act? It's not right, it's wrong. I wanted to give you another issue here. You know, everybody's been saying that, the police is wrong in this case for releasing him. Just for the record, we should know that this is not an unusual thing. I mean, I was doing a little research about if this is happening around the world, if it happened, what the reaction. But to give you a few examples, like you had John Miller in California. He killed an infant in 1957, convicted of murder in 58, paroled in 75, which is many, many years after, right? Killed his parents in 1975, life term in 1975. You have, like, I'm looking at the list, it's like a very long list of people that basically were sentenced, escaped, released, condemned, did it again. Um, it is very sad, but it's not unusual. It's like it's very hard for people to get the right frame of mind for a person who's a murderer or thinks about murdering people and really say, okay, this guy is going to do this. So I think it's a matter of like us being focused on his intentions, his way of expressing himself. In this particular case, there was no doubt. He said it, he wrote it, and he told everybody around it as soon as he got out, I'm going to do it. So, it wasn't a big, secret.
Now, some people feel that the Gay Pride Parade being in Jerusalem was partly done to insult and incite the Haradim, to make them upset, to provoke them, if you will, not that it justifies the stabbing. I want to get your thoughts on that aspect and about the Gay Pride Parade being in Jerusalem in general, as opposed to other cities in Israel, such as Tel Aviv. So give us your thoughts on this issue.
Look, again, in my mind, I separated to two different things. One is the issue itself, being gay, or the issue of having a gay parade in Jerusalem. I see Jerusalem as our holy city. It's important for religious people, if they're Christian, Muslim, or Jewish, to have the holiness of the city kept. And put aside what happened. You have to do that. You have to separate between the two issues. A, being gay, having, expressing your, sexual inclination in public, okay? And between what happened in this particular issue, okay? In my mind, it has to be separated because Jerusalem is a holy city, and having a gay parade in Jerusalem is offending people that are religious. If it's Christians, if it's Muslims, if it's Jewish, you like it or not, this is the truth. But separate that between the disgust feeling that a lot of people are feeling about this action that was wrong. So, for that reason, I think all the big reaction of people coming and congregating and expressing their anger is correct. But again, there was some sort of a problem, I think, with approving this particular, parade to be in Jerusalem, and that's my personal view.
So do you think in the future it's possible that there won't be gay pride parades in Jerusalem, they'll just keep it in Tel Aviv because people are concerned about a possible backlash?
Look, um, I could see Tel Aviv as being, um, the place for, having a gay parade because there's a little bit more openness. There's a little bit. It's not a religious city. It doesn't bring out like the same feelings. It doesn't have the population that is more religious than average. To come and do it in Jerusalem, that is considered to be the center, okay, of religion. I mean, you like it or not, it's the center for Christians, Muslim, and Jews, obviously. And to do there something that is in the Bible stated clearly as offensive, okay? I mean, you put aside our political correctness, put aside all our feelings about being open and accepting society. That is aside. Look at the religion itself. The religion itself and the Bible states clearly with no like ways to get out of it, okay? Because a lot of times I have this. It's like people try to, well, we're in the 21st century. It doesn't count. Da, da, da. It does. There's a separation that should be between something that you consider right and wrong and between your acceptance of the person who's doing the right and wrong. So I see it really clear and definite. Okay? I see it as God is the judge, the person to judge, or the entity to judge that person for his action. I, as a person, will not accept it for my life or my society or my surrounding, the way I teach my kids. I don't want that to be part of their thinking that this is the norm, okay? As a religious person. But put that aside. I will not go ever and judge a person and say, listen, you should not be my friend or you should not be in my environment. I respect them as people, but I would keep that in my mind as not a way of behavior that I want to promote or see it as normal. Okay, that's the way I see it.
Again, this is the Messiah Hour here at IsraelSportsNewsRadio.com. Thank you for joining us. And again, as I mentioned, the email is MessiahHour@gmail.com. And the PayPal account is IsraelSportsRadio@yahoo.com. Again, IsraelSportsRadio@yahoo.com. Gerard, tell us, do you think in future gay pride parades, whether city they may be in, will there be extra heightened security because of what might happen in the future? Will people look at these two stabbings in the past 10 years as two particular freak occurrences by one crazed individual?
Um, it's not necessarily a freak occurrence. I mean, I think there is a lot of issues that there has to be consideration on all sides. Okay. I don't think it's fair to say that there should be just freedom for the liberal side and no freedom for the conservative side. And it's a lot of times really a contention thing that I have to argue about because I see that if I say that I truly, truly believe that in 1922, 51 nations gave the entire land of Israel, all the way from the Jordan to the Mediterranean to the Jewish people, to populate. And that's what it says. If you look at in the legal forms, if I say that as absolute truth, I have a right to say that. No different than my religious views. As a religious person, I want to teach my kids what is right and what is wrong. I want them to teach them according to Torah. Now, in the Torah, it doesn't give you leeway. It doesn't say you can be maybe homosexual, um, and that's okay. It says that, a marriage is between a man and a woman. End of story. It doesn't give you the options for other options there, or alternatives. So you have to have some consideration and some understanding also to the religious point of view. And that I feel is not acceptable. It's like if you're not thinking a certain way, and I grew up as a secular person in North Tel Aviv, so I can give you, I was there, I understand it. I went to a school that was totally secular. So it's not that I don't understand, but I made a conscious and educated choice to follow Torah, to follow the what I see as universal, never ending, ways of behavior that were given to us by our sages and our forefathers to follow and educate our kids and our population and our society. And it's only fair to be considerate of all sides, the religious and the non-religious. So to just say, hey, we're going to just keep on doing parades just to kind of do it to the religious people in their face type of thing, where is the consideration to our feelings, to our way of life? Why is it that our way of life is considered to be not acceptable? Why? It should be, if you're liberal, if you're pluralistic, real pluralism is having the ability to consider all of the people, not just what you call the liberal point of view. See, that's the point that really is something that a lot of people miss.
And let's talk about polarization. I think a lot of secular people feel that the Haredi people are not with them or against them, and the Haredi people may feel the same about secular people. So talk about the aspect of polarization with this terrible tragedy.
Because it's very difficult for a religious person, because I'm a chozeret b'tshuva, I'm a returnee to religion. I didn't grow up with it. I grew up with the ability to express ideas, to express views. In a religious society, it's less common to really say issues that deal with religion, and there's some sort of like, how would I say, um, inability to really express those views in public and take them out, and the the way that liberal people have. So it's less common. So you have this issue of like, unless you really go to specific people that are able to express it, you don't hear it. But it's not right. And if you're really pluralistic, you have to have everybody's ideas together. So my idea of having a family and having a marriage between a man and a woman should be considered as a legitimate option. It shouldn't be like pushed aside and said, "Hey, we only now, like, we have to advocate that you can have this, and that." Well, I'm sorry, it's not part of my view. It's not part of my life. I see it differently, and my different should be legitimate. Because when you say that it's not legitimate because of, we're now in a new 21st century, wait a minute. If you go to the Torah, Abraham views were different. Um, Joshua views were different. Samuel views were different. If you think about Elijah, imagine all those Baal believers, all of them, were followed by a lot of Israelites. So he was different. He was unusual. Should we say that all those people should be, now we should annul them and take them out of our Torah and say they were not liberal? Oh my gosh. So there is a thing that a lot of people miss, and I think it should be considered.
And of course, as we know, gay marriage has basically been passed in the United States Supreme Court decision. I want to know if you think the actions of what occurred in the United States has an influence on the climate, the culture, the thoughts in general here in Israel, if it's somehow related, that gay marriage got passed by the Supreme Court, so there's more pride in the gay pride parade, more people joining, and more of just being influenced by the United States here in Israel.
Well, it's obviously that everything it's obvious that everything kind of follows, you know, whatever happens in the States, all the other countries in the world want to implement, and obviously also the gay community in Israel. Again, I'm not against the idea of having a person having his own inclination. The part that is problematic here is the same way that I don't go around and say, okay, I'm like this or I'm like that in public. Why is it that this has to be put on a flag? That's the issue. If you are, let's say, a politician or a lawyer or a cook or a gardener, okay? This is your essence, okay? We never used to look at your inclination, okay, as the essence. And suddenly now everybody's coming out of the closet, as they say, and that has to be the main thing. I'm hip if I'm gay. Well, the point is different. I want to identify people, okay, as a whole person, not just by a segmental that in my issue should be kept in the closet, okay, not out of the closet. That's the key point that I think a lot of people are missing. You want to be liberal? Fine. Accept the fact that I'm not, and it's also okay that I'm not. I have different issues that I'm looking at. I'm following biblical ideas, and I accept them as my way that I want to go by. Why? Why is it not legitimate? That's the point. That's the key, is taking the whole entire religious community and making us obligated by political correctness, okay, that we have to go by. Why? Where is liberalism? Where is pluralism? If really we accept everybody's ideas, we should accept the fact that there is people that want to follow a different way. And the different is right. It's not wrong, because the same way you want me to accept people who are gay, they should accept us religious people as religious people. Doesn't it make sense?
And I want to ask you if you feel there's double standard at all. The idea that, let's say, gay people could have the ability to have a pride demonstration, but let's say somebody is against gay marriage, they don't believe in it, that they're considered prejudiced, they're considered racist, I guess, if you will, that the homosexuality is a race. But it seems a lot of backlash against people who believe in traditional marriage. I want to get your thoughts on it.
Oh, I wish I could. My wish always would be that the press will think in real pluralistic ways, because really there should be balance, okay? There should be understanding that everybody should have a way and an ability to express themselves. I see this clashes happening because everybody wants it. It's like almost like 100%. The game theory, Professor Uman, you have to have 100% of winning this battle, okay, for the non-religious community and the secular. So if you can't have a parade that is in Jerusalem, okay, you have lost the whole entire war, okay? Why isn't it that there is some idea, some people to, try to understand that this is like just going in front of people that totally feel that this is um, like throwing like fire in their eyes, because you're just doing it in Jerusalem, the holiest place in the world, and you're saying, you know what, you have to accept it. This is it. We don't care. We have to do it right here, right now. Why? You know, if we want to live as people and not some sort of dogmas, like we should live together. And the together means to understand each other. And yes, my lifestyle is legitimate, and fine. I'll accept that your lifestyle is legitimate for you. I don't have to accept it for me. but I'll accept it for you. I wouldn't be like, there's no need for violence towards each other. We can discuss it. We get to a point of disagreement. We'll say, you know what? I heard you. You heard me. I disagree with you, but I'm fine with it. That's a key point where I don't see. Instead of fighting so much and saying, oh my gosh, the president said this and that, the president said this and that, let's fight over it. Instead of understanding that we should work as a nation, not just as like contending groups and segments.
All right, this has been another episode of the Messiah Hour here on IsraelSportsAndNewsRadio.com. Again, the email is messiahhour@gmail.com. You can make a financial contribution through my PayPal account at IsraelSportsRadio@yahoo.com. Drora, thank you for being on the program today. Very insightful, very enlightening, so thank you. And thank you, everyone, for listening in. Stay tuned for more episodes on my website, IsraelSportsAndNewsRadio.com. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and shalom from Israel.